Joining us in the Black Leaders in Tourism interview room. We're here now with the rock star of hotel development, Mr. Evans Charles. He's the president and CEO of Frontier Development and Hospitality Group, LLC. Thank you for your time, Mr. Charles.
My pleasure.
Yes,
Pleasure
sir.
to be here.
Absolutely. You as well. So you're, again, I use the term rock star. You've been celebrated for your tenacity, for your initiative, for your acumen, for your ability to connect with the mentor and to produce results.
Right.
Yes, sir. Your story reads at a tender age of 25, you invested 1K, turned it into 25K,
Sure did.
and then it looks like you played Monopoly when you build houses, invest in
That
houses,
was my favorite game.
and you turn them into a hotel.
That's right. That's right.
And the rest is kind of, take off from
You
there.
got it. That's exactly right.
So, any element of that you'd like to kind of highlight or pull up, or you want to start at your hotel ownership?
You kind of, provided a little summary, but I was just formally educated. I thought I wanted to be a psychiatrist.
Yes.
So I got an undergrad degree in psychology, and I took chemistry, and it completely changed my trajectory. That was the hardest class I ever took. So I said, I don't think I'm going to medical school, but I ended up getting a master's in education. And then, shortly thereafter, my landlord, he owned the entire neighborhood that I lived in. And he started talking about residual income, creating wealth, passive income, and the light bulb went off. I said, you know what? I know what it's like to be broke, because I come from humble beginnings. And you're talking about, creating wealth and creating, creating generational wealth, creating legacy, something that I never even thought of. And I just ran to the bookstore and I bought a book. How do you buy your first piece of real estate? Just the first time home buy, because I knew nothing about real estate.
Right.
So after I bought that book, I went out and bought the second book. How do you invest? I met a mentor. He was a real estate broker, but he was more of an investor thinking like a person. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just drove me all around West Philadelphia. Spent like weeks and weeks with me until we finally found the property. It was a VA foreclosure.
Yes.
And I bought it for $30,000. I had about maybe $1,000 out of pocket because it was like 97% financed. I had a credit card. I went to Home Depot. I bought all my materials. I went around the neighborhood and I just recruited people. You know how to paint. You know how to do electric. You know how to do plumbing. So I couldn't afford to call the guys off the Yellow Pages or this free internet. And then got it fixed up. And then sold it and made a profit. And I've never seen that kind of money in my life.
Right.
And I was probably what I was making, on my job, I was probably making about $25,000 a year. So it was like what I made an entire year in one check. And that was the catalyst that got me into investing in real estate. So from that point forward, I just continued I put all of that investment into the next deal. I didn't take one penny out. Yeah. And then I just kept doing that. So I let my job just kind of sustain me. And my investments just continue to just fuel more investments.
Accumulate. So from reading a book, from making a decision, to reading a book, to following the yellow brick road of knowledge, to identifying mentors, to going to your network and saying, hey, you can do this and you can do this, and building a team basically, managing a team, getting those type of results at such an early age, you on your path.
That's right. And then you fast forward, I did that for over a 10-year period. I ended up meeting a capital source that believed in me and financed probably about 40 of my projects. That's how I was able to really scale and do a bunch of smaller deals, and I was evolving into larger deals. And I was ready to do commercial real estate. And then I'm at a barber. I was getting my hair cut, and he told me about a guy from DC. Who's this guy that owned Royal Palm? Right. And I'm like, there's a black person that owned a hotel on South Beach, and my eyes just lit up. So I went to the doctor the same day, and I'm waiting in the waiting area. I pick up Black Enterprise. The same person is on the cover of Black Enterprise. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. So then I'm reading about this guy who's promoting his book. So then I run to the bookstore and I buy his book, and it was
People's Principles.
The People's Principles.
Yes.
And it was so relevant for me because I was ready, and he was talking about his deals in a storytelling format. And when he talked about his first couple of deals, he didn't have any money. and he was doing 30, 40, 50, 60 million dollar deals, and I understood how to structure these deals because I was intimidated by these big deals because I thought I needed to have 20, 30 million dollars in the bank.
Right.
But when I understood how to structure them, how to leverage other people's money and things of that nature, then I got the confidence. And then I just took a plane because he's the chairman of NAPWIT at the time, and I came to this conference, and then I got really inspired.
Awesome.
And then I told myself, I'm not coming back to the next NAPWIT unless I own a hotel. And I did buy my first one after my first one.
Within that year, or did
Within
it
that
take
year.
a couple years?
Within that year. Within that year.
So again, reading a book, finding the Peters Principle, actually following through, learning, structuring, coming to the National Association of Black Hotel Owners, Operators, and Developers, and making a commitment within yourself.
Yeah.
Within 365 days, I too will own a hotel.
That's right. That's right. I was hungry though. I had like you said, traded in houses for a hotel. So, I just pulled equity out of my houses,
Yes.
and that was the cash that I utilized to put down on the first hotel. But I found a partner who had operational experience because I did not. So I understood real estate transactions, but I knew that that's where I was weak, and I needed to bring someone else who was strong in that capacity. We formed a partnership. At the time, I had some money, so I bought $400,000 to the deal. He bought $400,000 to the deal, and we got the deal.
Speaking of capital, you mentioned a little earlier that you were able to find a source of capital, and they invested. And it sounds like, from what you said, they liked your idea, but they were investing in you.
Exactly. That was solely about track record. So my strategy, and it kind of transcended into hotels, have been value add. So I'm trying to find opportunities where we can create value. And we were buying, real estate-owned foreclosed properties that were already undervalued.
Right.
We were factoring in whatever our repair monies would be,
Okay.
and then after repair values would still be below market values, and that's the equity that we factored into all the deals that we've done. So we were able to bring this capital source with deals, and they were really conservative in the beginning. And when they saw that we executed, and I was giving them their money back in 6 months, so they would finance a deal, I would fix it up, sell it, they would get their money back. So when they saw that track record and they saw that I could bring a pipeline of a bunch of deals that way, the confidence grew, and then they just said, "Hey, look, we're behind you."
More resources are available
Exactly.
to do more deals, bigger deals.
Exactly.
And this sounds like before HD TV, where people are, flipping houses on TV.
Yeah. This is it's 2000s, early 2000s. We're not talking about the 70s.
Right.
Early 2000s. Yeah.
And so let's bring us up to speed today.
Sure.
You're opening new properties. You're located in multiple cities
Absolutely.
within the DC, DMV,
Yeah.
metropolitan area, but also other locations.
Sure. So from that first hotel deal, which was a Holiday Inn Express, it was a small 70-room hotel in a tertiary city called Martinsville, Virginia, 30 miles north of Greensboro, North Carolina. We went on to our second deal, which was more of an urban deal. This was one in downtown Atlanta, and it was a Marriott property. But that Marriott deal became the catalyst for our strategy. It was the exact same thing I did on the residential side, but now we were doing it on the hotel side. So basically, it was a multifamily building that was distressed. Somebody paid $25 million for it. We bought it for $5 million. It's like foreclosure. Same thing I was doing when I was 26, 27 years old.
Just a few more zeros.
A few more zeros.
Exactly. Right.
And at one point, we couldn't get financing because it was 2010, right after the downturn, and no one was financing hotels at the time. So the brands had to get creative. So actually, Choice came in and said, "We'll be your debt," because they wanted to be in downtown Atlanta. So they ended up helping give us a bridge loan to buy the multifamily building. We converted into a Comfort Suites. We were not getting what we projected out of the reservation system. We weren't hitting our numbers, and all of my money was tied into this deal, and it was a make or breaking kind of deal.
Okay.
So I feel like I was on the verge of being broken.
World Series.
Yeah, exactly. So it was tough, and I was locked into a contract with Choice, and Marriott and Hilton told me no, and actually Norm Jenkins at the time was just leaving Marriott. So Norm had some relationships at Marriott. So we actually partnered with Norm. We leveraged some relationships, and he got Marriott to take a second look at the property. So now Marriott comes back out. They say, "Whoa, we love what you've done, will make you a Fairfield, right? You don't even have to touch the rooms because what we did as a Comfort Suites was up to a level that they appreciated.
Yes.
They just said we needed to upgrade the life fire safety and do some things in the lobby. So it was tough too. We had to pay a significant amount of liquidated damages to Choice to get out of that contract. That was ugly. You know, it's not pretty breaking up an agreement, but we were about to sink. And we did that, and then next thing you know, big Wall Street institutional investors started knocking on our door saying, hey, we want to buy your property. Here I am, a young buck in this hotel world. This is only my second deal, and I'm negotiating with guys who have over $1 billion, you know, under management. So, and I wasn't even on the market. So we ended up selling it. We made 3.5 times our equity. We only held it for 3 years. But then from that point, I went out and bought 3 more with the profits from that one deal. And then since then, you know, we've done, we're in 6 states.
6 states.
Embassy Suites, Westin, Hampton Inn,
Marriott
Homewood Suites,
Springs.
yeah, Hilton and Marriott.
Okay.
Now our sweet spot is between 20 and 80 million is now like the deal sizes that we're looking at. So we're not doing the $3, $4, $5 million deals anymore. We're working with different capital sources, more institutional, family office, private equity, that's allowing us to scale and do larger deals. But what we've done over the last 8 years, we think we can replicate over the next 2 years. So I'm actually trying to double what we've done over the last 8 over the next
Within
24 months.
24 months.
Yeah.
So you said we multiple times in your phrases.
Just my
Talk to
team.
us about your team.
Yeah, just my team. Well, right now, I mean, it's just I've, for the most part, you know, I've outsourced and I've flexed, you know, my team on the basis of what I've needed as it relates to deal flow. But I mean, we have you know, construction manager, asset manager, acquisitions and development, accounting, legal. So just all of the different areas that are necessary to operate a hotel development company. Yeah, so we have all of those covered, and we're looking to grow. I'm actually looking to bring on more people, increase the bandwidth, and grow the company.
So from your perspective, with this wonderful track record of history, you've operated almost, I'm going to use the word, like a Jordan, you know, with Scottie Pippen. You've identified some assistants to help you achieve your objectives, win some championships, if you will, with your achievements.
I'm looking for a Scottie Pippen. I can use that.
He's
Yeah.
on his way.
Okay, all right.
Everyone, he's looking for
All right,
a
I might have a
Scottie
B.J. Armstrong, or, you know, but I need a Scottie.
I hear you.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So, what do you see as kind of the next 5 years, 10 years in this industry for those seeking opportunities to enter the industry of hotel?
What do I see about the hotel industry for other people trying to come in?
Yes.
I think if you invest right, okay. I mean, it's if you look at all of the different asset classes, in terms of retail, multifamily, office, hotel, and industrial. I mean, hotel would probably be deemed more risky because we lease by the day.
Right.
Retail is leasing every 5 years, every 10 years. Multifamily every year. And everyone else, it's less risk when you have longer term leases or so. So you want to make sure that you're investing in areas where people have to come to, right? So if you're in areas like, you know, urban corridors, state capitals, you're in around hospitals, universities, you're around government facilities. So I'm not going to say they're recession proof, but there are areas where people have to travel to.
Yes.
Where I'm probably less of the leisure markets, so I may not want to be in Myrtle Beach because it's, you know, it's more of a seasonal type of property, and when it's, you know, when the downturn happens or something happens, I mean, people pull back from more leisure travel right away, but business still has to continue in that, you know. So, yeah, and we've had probably the longest trajectory of uphill climb as far as the hotels year-over-year growth probably ever in history, because we've been growing, having growth since 2009. So now we're going on 10 years without having any form of correction in the market. So for the last 3-4 years, everyone has been paranoid like we're at the top of the market, but it hasn't happened. We have not gone over the cliff. So it's not as if any one of us had a crystal ball and we can foresee what happened in 2008, but in hindsight, you can understand that you can feel something was going on because you had lending was very aggressive, appraisals for values were just overvalued, people were doing deals at 100% financing that is not going to be the cause of the next recession. So no one knows what it is, but all of us are still kind of scaling back, and we're just being conservative, and we're just underwriting more conservatively because we're bracing ourselves.
Right. For
So,
the correction.
well, yeah. Just, I mean, his history tells us that every so often there is a correction in the market. We just haven't experienced it in the last 10 years. So, will it happen year 11, 12, 13, 14? I don't know. We have our the folks in the White House who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, with that situation, if something happens with the economy. But you just want to be careful and invest with good brands, solid markets, multiple demand generators to make sure you can weather whatever's about to happen, and you'll be fine for the long.
Excellent. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
this interview.
Hopefully it wasn't too long-winded, but
No,
I can talk.
I think
Okay.
handled it well.
Okay.
Would you like to speak to Black Leaders in Tourism and in any way they've influenced or informed you or kept you abreast of developments within the field?
Oh, yeah, they, you know, Solomon and Gloria have just been so supportive, and they provided publicity to us. They've just been there with us from day one. It's just a constant support system, and I've, you know, have been working with more people from our operations team or so from a meetings and planning standpoint. But I want to do more with the organization, and I'm extremely grateful for all of the support that they provided me, and I want to continue to grow the relationship.
Again, Mr. Evans Charles, this guy's a superstar.
Oh, I don't know about that.
He's been working hard. He's been reading. He's been diligent, and he's partnered and collaborated, and he's humble in his working. So, thank you very much for this interview, sir.
All right, thank you.